Yo, what is cracking, my fantasy freaks and geeks? What's going on? Week number 4. Here we are. Let's get it fired up. If you got some start and sit questions, I see a bunch in the chat already, man. So, bro, I appreciate you guys jumping in. So that I'm not here by myself, just talking fantasy football to myself. Okay, so I appreciate you guys. I hope you guys, who out there's an anime fan? Demon Slayer. I mean, honestly, the best. I'm actually thinking about getting a Crunchyroll just so I can see the new season. I thought it was going to come out on Hulu, but have not been able to check out the new season yet, which I hear is incredible. So, anyways, neither here nor there. All right, man. But again, if you guys are new here, man, if you guys would subscribe to the channel, that would be dope. Would definitely appreciate that. And again, obviously, you guys could find me on Twitter. I'm sure you guys found me on Twitter to come to this stream. But yeah, I release a lot of my data on Twitter as well. But man, let's get right into it, man, shall we? All right, here we go. Gangrene, good morning to you, pal. I did the fantasy cop stuff, bro. Yeah, man. I know it's a bummer. It's a bummer, bro. Fantasy cops was the best. I mean, honestly, I can't tell you how we laughed our asses off filming those things, man. Anyways, all right. Flex. Full PPR. Kyron Williams, who I really like. DeAndre Swift. Oh, man. I love DeAndre Swift too. Or Adam Thielen revenge game. Oh my God, you're loaded. You're loaded if you have these three guys as an option in your flex. Um, I don't know how you get away from Adam Thielen. Again, you talk about the revenge game stuff, right? And to be honest with you, like sometimes that doesn't matter, but man, sometimes it does matter. And I think for Adam Thielen, who spent his entire freaking career in Minnesota, how does that not matter? By the way, great matchup. Again, the Carolina Panthers have been, excuse me, the Minnesota. I'm like flipping these teams in my brain, right? The Minnesota Vikings have been really soft against. Well, they've been soft against any receiver, but slot receivers, they've been not very good, right? So Vikings have allowed the seventh most fantasy points to inside wide receivers, 85% completion rate allowed to receivers in the slot. That's the worst mark in the NFL. So again, we've got the vibes coming in, revenge game vibes, plus we got some data coming in, right? Which is that Minnesota's super soft against slot wide receivers. And again, I mean, a lot like Andy Dalton last week. I know Bryce Young comes in, and Bryce, let's be real, has not looked good. His first two games in the NFL, but again, rookie early on in his career. I wonder if he leans on the veteran in Adam Thielen to get some to kind of get some yardage up, right? So. He's got some other young wide receivers out there too. Like Jonathan Mingo, I think is still a developing player. So yeah, I don't know. I think they lean on Thielen quite a bit, and yeah, I like him. I like him a lot. If it's full point PPR, sign me up, man. I like Thielen there. But I'm telling you, I mean, Kyron Williams, that could be a good game. That could be a good game for him. But boy, that is a tough choice between three pretty good options this week. Mr. Gallegos, what's up, dude? Good morning to you, pal. You got to pick one: Scary Terry or Josh Kelly. Well, I'm not playing Josh Kelly. I'm not playing Josh Terry. I don't like Scary Terry either. Don't get me wrong. The Philadelphia matchup obviously scares me quite a bit. Philadelphia obviously extremely tough on outside wide receivers. But I mean, if you have two players. I would just say this, like, again, Indianapolis is not Indianapolis. Sorry, that's the other LA team. When I think of the matchup here for Joshua Kelly, it's like, all right, the matchup's fine, the matchup's fine, but he's not that good of a player. You know what I'm saying here? So go ahead and give me the better player. I know it's not a great matchup. Philadelphia's been really tough on outside wide receivers, and you start thinking about those two corners there, and Darius Slay and Bradbury, and yeah, it's a little bit scary, scary Terry. But whatever, man. We're gonna go with the better player here in that matchup. And yeah, I'll run with it. I'll go ahead and run with Terry McLaurin right there, bro. Jason Hain, what's up, dude? You're going Ayuk versus Arizona. What's the question? Oh, Devontae Smith versus Washington. Oh man. Um, Debo's probably out, right? Target share is probably going to go up, bro. By the way, it's a George Kittle smash spot. I mean, it is. There's a lot of smash spots this week. There's like a lot of great players and great matchups. But George Kittle is in a freaking smash spot. If you've got Kittle or if you're thinking about playing DFS, try to figure out a way to get George Kittle into a DFS environment. I really like him a lot this week. All right. But I'd probably go Ayuk just here, just a little bit. I like Devontae Smith a lot too. Washington's given up a lot of production to wide receivers, and Devontae Smith, who it's like, again, if we're going vibes here, right? Like, do you think it was an AJ Brown week last week, so therefore, ergo, it's a Devontae Smith week this week? It might be, and I, when you've got two great receivers, I do believe in that kind of stuff, man. But and certainly the matchup is good, but I do think that Ayuk, because that Debo's likely out, is probably the start here against Arizona. That one's tough, but I'm gonna go Ayuk there. I'm gonna go Ayuk. Clark Schuyler, what's up, dude? We going Achan versus Buffalo or either of the Moors. I like Elijah Moore's matchup, as I highlighted online this morning. Baltimore's been giving up a ton of production to the slot. DTR, listen, I know Deshaun Watson's out. Did you guys watch DTR in the preseason? DTR looked good. DTR looked really good. And yeah, we're not playing Sky Moore versus the Jets. Don't even just get him out. I like Sky Moore. I love Sky Moore, but nah. Either Elijah Moore or Achan, but honestly, we're probably going Achan. And how do you sit Achan after last week? We're talking 50-point explosion. I mean, the dude went freaking bonkers, had 4 touchdowns or whatever it was. So no, we're going Achan. 54-point total there in that Buffalo-Miami game. 54 points. Obviously the highest of the week. One of the highest you're going to see all year is a 54-point total set by Vegas. They're expecting a lot of points. Everyone's expecting a lot of points. It should be an absolute shootout. Again, if we're talking about DFS environments here, okay, you want to target players. You want to target players in that game. If you've got, if you're looking to fill out a cheap roster spot in DFS, like I've got Dalton Kincaid in a lot of different lineups this week because, again, I think that it's going to be a great match. It's not just a great matchup for Kincaid, but it's also going to be an absolute shootout. So I really like Achan there ahead of either of the Moors. Although I do like Elijah Moore's matchup, I'm not going to lie. But in this particular start-sit equation here, give me Achan, man. RJ Flip, what's up, dude? Thank you for the info. Yes, I appreciate that, man. I put a lot of research into the info, all right? So, yeah, if you appreciate that, I appreciate you, baby. Let's go. Full flex, full PPR. Josh Downs, Rachaad White. Well, listen, I know Rachaad White's going to get more work, okay? But that matchup sucks, dude. I mean, that New Orleans matchup is rough. Okay, so obviously New Orleans has historically been really, really good against the run. This is a matchup that looks like it might be not great. Not a lot of points are expected in this ball game either, right? So the Saints right now, allowing the 7th fewest fantasy points per game. Again, this just continues a strong trend that we've seen from the Saints over the last, maybe even 5 years now. It's been going on. Dennis Allen, obviously a defensive-minded head coach, and he seems to have Tampa Bay's number, right? Like he has somehow figured out, what's going on there with Tampa Bay, man. He's really locked them up pretty good. 3.88 yards per carry allowed to running backs is New Orleans. That's really good, obviously. Early part of the season, that's still just the 13th best in the NFL. But as the season wears on, 3.88 will be a top 5 number. That's going to be a top 5 number as the season wears on. But yeah, 3.88 yards per carry allowed to running backs. That's really good. They've allowed the seventh fewest rushing yards per game to that position. So, by the way, have not allowed a single touchdown to running backs this year. Not one. Not a one. Okay, so Rashad White, who I really like as a player, but their offensive line absolutely blows. So it's like not a great environment. Okay, it's not a great environment for Rashad White, and the matchup absolutely stinks. Okay, so yeah, I'm not trusting Rashad White in this one. So go ahead and give me Josh Downs, who, again, if you follow me online, I did highlight that the Rams do give up a good amount of production to slot wide receivers. I've got Josh Downs as a solid sleeper this week. Again, had a little bit of a mini breakout game last week. I know it was a different quarterback, but that's okay. He's been, even in the first couple weeks, he was a pretty integral part of that passing offense. He's really passed up Alec Pierce as a player who, is earning those targets. So it's all Pittman. It's mostly, Downs as a second receiver option there for Indianapolis. But I'll give you some matchup data here. Okay, the LA Rams have given up the fifth most fantasy points, including the second most receptions and the third most yards to receivers lined up in the slot. 75% completion rate. That's really good to receivers in the slot. 7.95 yards per attempt allowed to inside wide receivers. And again, just think about that. About 8 yards per pass attempt allowed to receivers in the slot. That's pretty good, man. That's obviously 75% completion rate, and the 8 yards allowed per attempt is both bottom 10 in the NFL. And again, as the season wears on, I promise you, like that 8 yards per attempt, that's going to be, bottom 5. So we'll see. But I really like Josh Downs in that matchup. Go ahead and give me Josh Downs over Rashad White. It's a little bit of a risky play because, again, you want to play running backs in those flex spots because of the work. But I'll go ahead and take Downs here because I by the way, I do think that the Rams are going to put up a decent number here too against Indianapolis. Okay, so we'll go there. All right. Jacob Pierce, what's up? Pick 2. You got to play Pittman. I don't care. You're playing Pittman. You're always playing Pittman, baby. Play Pittman every single time. Higgins has such a great matchup. I mean, I've got him down here for I've got both him and Jamar Chase as must starts. So who would I say he's a must start, but you got to play Ayuk over him. But man, this is like when I say Higgins, when I say play Ayuk over Higgins, that's like a gut call on my end. Right, that's just a gut call on my end because I think the actual data would suggest playing Higgins over Ayuk. Gut call, I'm saying play Ayuk over Higgins, but you're definitely playing Pittman. My gut call is that it's Ayuk over Higgins, but the data, let me just say this right now. I think the data would tell you to go ahead and play T. Higgins because Tennessee's pass defense absolutely sucks. Okay. We saw Amari Cooper, right, have his best game against this Tennessee secondary at 7 for 116 and a touchdown. Probably should have had more, to be honest with you. He could have maybe busted out for like 180 and 2 TDs, given that horrible call where they called him, the call to play dead for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, against outside wide receivers, Tennessee has given up the most fantasy points. Even Rashid Shaheed, went for 589 and a touchdown in week 1. All of that lined up as an outside wide receiver. Mike Williams, 8 and 83. Okay, the Titans have given up the second most fantasy points to outside wide receivers, as I mentioned, 77.4%. Let me say that again. 77.4% completion rate to outside wide receivers. That's the worst in the NFL. And third worst in the NFL. Unbelievably bad. And Tennessee was bad against outside wide receivers last year. They're bad against outside wide receivers this year. I mean, again, the data would tell you it's T. Higgins. I'm going my gut here, though, and I'm going to say Ayuk, man. And again, I'm telling you, I know that the data doesn't say that that's a good call. By the way, Arizona Cardinals against outside wide receivers, about league average in terms of fantasy points allowed. They have not allowed um, a single touchdown to outside wide receivers this year, but I think that changes today. I think Brandon Ayuk cracks one into the end zone. And man, I hate to go against my matchup data, okay, but that's why I didn't write anything about Brandon Ayuk. I don't got like cool stats and shit to back it up, okay? I'm just saying I'm just feeling it. Feeling it. Debo Samuel most likely not going to play today. All right. So that's the reason why I'm going Ayuk over Higgins, but I'm just giving you the data. I'll make you make your own call on that one, but just my own little gut feeling tells me it's going to be Ayuk over Higgins this week. Francis Gibbons, what's up, man? Good morning to you. Chris Godwin, DeAndre Hopkins, non-PPR. Ooh, you're playing in a relic league. I like it. Non-PPR. Look, Chris Godwin is playing New Orleans, and Tennessee, as I just mentioned, is taking on the Cincinnati Bengals, who the Bengals, by the way, have been a pretty good defensive unit, especially with Lou Anarumo, who, if he doesn't get I don't get how he didn't get a head coaching gig this cycle, but he absolutely should get a head coaching gig this next cycle, man. Lou Anarumo's just, he's good, man. Cincinnati Bengals, let me look this up, okay? So Cincinnati Bengals against Tennessee Titans on outside wide receivers. And by the way, I didn't write anything about Nuke because guess what? It's a neutral matchup. They've allowed the 14th most, which is about league average, fantasy points to outside wide receivers. They have yet to allow a single touchdown to an outside wide receiver while also collecting 2 interceptions on passes thrown to outside wide receivers. They've been pretty good. Okay, so they've been pretty good as you would expect from a Lou Anarumo squad. What else we got here? Bengals have allowed a 51.5% completion rate to outside wide receivers. That's 6th best in the NFL. Now, they've given up some yardage, bottom 10 in terms of yardage allowed, but the efficiency obviously is not there. And when you look at those efficiency metrics going against Tennessee, who obviously have struggled, Tannehill had what, 106 passing yards last week? That's tough, right? So I don't love the matchup for Chris Godwin either, but it's not a great matchup for Nuke. The offense doesn't look good, and I think they're going to see look, Nuke's going to see more passing volume, I guess, but I think certainly Godwin will see a little bit more in terms of efficiency metrics across the board. So when we're looking at New Orleans, the Saints against slot receivers, in 2023, they have allowed their bottom 10 in regards to fantasy points allowed to the position, or excuse me, to slot receivers. It's been okay. They're about league average in regards to yards per attempt, bottom 10 in terms of yards per game allowed to slot receivers. Really good in terms of completion rate, 56.4% completion rate allowed to slot receivers. That's 2nd best. By the way, slot receivers, I mean, like, we're talking like the league average is like, I don't know, like 70%. Okay, so 56% completion rate allowed by the Saints to slot receivers. Again, 2nd best. That's really, really good. Perhaps they haven't seen, obviously, a receiver of Chris Godwin's caliber who's really, really good. So maybe that changes just here a little bit here in week number 4. But go ahead and give me Chris Godwin over Nuke Hopkins in this one. Non-PPR, man, that's an interesting one. So you put a little bit more emphasis on yardage and a little bit more emphasis on touchdowns. And I do think that Godwin maybe gives you a little bit more in terms of touchdown upside. By the way, we know that Mike Evans really struggles in this matchup, right? The Lattimore effect is real. So what does that mean? Target's got to go somewhere. Maybe it goes Chris Godwin. So yeah, go ahead and give me Godwin. In this matchup, man, Jason McFarland, what's up, dude? I appreciate you guys jumping in every Sunday morning, to be honest with you, man. Doing it for a full hour, bro. So again, if you guys haven't, subscribed to the channel, would appreciate a subscribe. Anyways, all right, here we go. You need two in PPR. If you guys want to throw your questions into the chat, go ahead, by the way. You need two in PPR, Kamara, Ford, or Palmer. So you're definitely playing Ford. I think they lean on the run game here with a backup quarterback, jumping in there. So I like Ford a lot. Kamara is probably not playable right now. So I would just go ahead and say Palmer just by process of elimination. I like Kamara a lot in my big money league, where it's pretty high stakes and I'm not doing that good. I drafted Kamara, but I wasn't anticipating them, running three running backs the way that they were. I thought it was going to be more of a two-headed approach. Right now, it looks like it might be a three-headed approach. They might ease in Kamara. By the way, just with their pass catchers, too, they've got, a good collection of pass catchers there in New Orleans. So how much passing volume is going to be around for New Orleans? I don't know. What's up with the quarterback situation, too? It's a little dicey there with the whole shoulder situation there for Derek Carr. Anyway, so there you go. Go ahead. If you need two in PPR, give me Ford and Palmer. Mike Williams being out, obviously Palmer's going to step forward. A lot of folks are anticipating Quentin Johnston to kind of be like the guy moving forward, but I mean, it could be the case, but I just keep in mind he's only played like 26% of the snaps thus far for the Chargers. I think they're trying to bring him along slowly, and or he just needs development as a player. Okay, so I'm just saying, man. I don't know, but yeah, go ahead and give me Palmer at least, especially here in week number 4. Is there any way you start Zeke versus Dallas revenge game over Najee versus Houston? Are you crazy? You're not crazy, bro. You're not crazy, okay? Najee obviously has a great matchup against Houston. Houston was the stone cold, arguably the worst. I shouldn't say the stone cold worst, but arguably the worst rushing defense. There was a lot of bad rushing defenses last year. Arguably one the worst rushing defense last year. Obviously, DeMeco Ryans comes in. And Houston has been a little bit better against running backs, but again, still, I would say overall, a pretty bad defense against running backs. They've allowed the 4th most fantasy points to that position group this year. They've already allowed 5 touchdowns to running backs here in 2023. What else we got here? About league average in terms of rushing yards per game allowed. This is where I was looking, where they've made some significant improvements here, but 3.86 yards per carry allowed to opposing running backs. That's the 12th best mark in the NFL. So pretty good stuff, to be honest with you, in regards to Houston from an efficiency standpoint. It's just that they've been giving up a lot of touchdowns. Obviously, when we take a look at what Pittsburgh is doing offensively, how much touchdown upside do they really have? I don't know, right? So I like Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris as sleepers this week. It was about a 50-50 running back split last week. So that's why I'm saying it's not really crazy to start Zeke. Zeke's probably going to play, I don't know, 35% of the snaps, I would say, against Dallas. Dallas has been really, really good against running backs here. I've got it as a neutral matchup for the New England Patriots. Look, Dallas Cowboys have allowed the 2nd fewest fantasy points to running backs, okay? But James Conner just, touched him up for 116, 2 touchdowns, averaged 7 yards per carry. 4.4 yards per carry allowed. That is bottom 10 in terms of not good, right? So bottom 10 in terms of efficiency allowed to running backs. Obviously, a lot of that has to do with James Conner, but just keep in mind, like, they were blowing teams out the first couple of weeks of the season, right? 40-0 week 1, right? So that doesn't really give a lot of opportunities there for running backs to kind of get going here. This is going to be a much more competitive game against New England. So yeah, I would just say I think it's more of a neutral matchup. I'm not really looking at the fantasy points allowed in regards to this matchup. I look at the efficiency metrics, and again, 4.4 yards per carry allowed. That's bottom 10. So Zeke, I think, has a neutral matchup. Najee Harris has a good matchup. And again, it's kind of sort of about snap share too. Najee's going to see at least 50%, if not more. Right. So, and then Zeke, again, he's going to have to get hot. I love the revenge game narrative. I love the revenge game narrative. Revenge. But I'm just saying, like, it's a neutral matchup, and again, if he gets hot, then don't be surprised if he gets hot if Bill Belichick runs that hot hand, man. But hard to play Zeke over Najee this week, but you're not crazy. Not crazy at all. Clark Schuyler, DeAndre Swift versus Washington, James Cook versus Miami. Oh, boy, that's tough. I'm going to go James Cook because, again, the 54-point total should be a shootout. Go ahead and give me James Cook, who has been playing really, really well and has emerged as a between-the-20s workhorse for the Buffalo Bills. Obviously, my dude James Cook cannot score a touchdown. It's like impossible. But in a game where they're going to score a lot of touchdowns, maybe he finally gets in. I don't know. Obviously, they bring in other running backs. Like why are we bringing in Latavius Murray? Sometimes these coaches outthink themselves, dude. I don't know, man. Ben Choi, what's up, dude? Good morning to you, pal. Aiden O'Connell versus a bad Chargers defense. I'm assuming that you are in a 2 QB league, right? Where you're actually considering Aiden O'Connell. But no, I'm probably not going to. Chargers defense is not good. I'm not saying that they're good at all, but they're not like the worst in the NFL. You know what I mean? They still got players out there, man. They still got some dudes. Nah, I'm probably not trusting Aiden O'Connell. I'd have to see what your other options are, though, brother. So yeah, Fossil, FQ in the chat, dog. What's up, man? What's going on, dude? Good to see you, pal. No Watson, DTR obviously there for the Cleveland Browns. You need a QB, Pickett or DTR. Give me DTR. DTR because the guy can run. Dude, FQ, my guy, come on, bro. How much UCLA have you seen? A lot. Stop it. Stop it with I know that DTR is the pick right here, bro. Come on, dude. Stop it. He played on Chip Kelly, for those of you who are uninitiated. He played on Chip Kelly at UCLA. Was a great quarterback for UCLA. I mean, a great quarterback. All right. So he's got the legs, can move big time. And yeah, I really like him. Pickett's got a great matchup too. Don't get me wrong. I like it. But just because of the rushing upside in fantasy football purposes, we're going with DTR. Debo is playing. I'm just saying, obviously the guy's banged up real bad, right? So how much is this dude playing? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. So we'll find out. But thank you for letting me know, Ben Choi. I appreciate that. Michael Beason, Fields or Dak in the QB spot. Oh, you've got CJ Stroud in my Superflex already. Yeah. Playing CJ Stroud over Fields and Dak, right? Is that what you're asking me of these three quarterbacks? Or do you need Fields or Dak in the regular spot, and then you've got CJ Stroud in the Superflex? If you got CJ Stroud in the Superflex, that's pretty good. I like that. Fields or Dak? Oh, man. Fields or Dak? Man. Dak's playing New England. New England's been pretty decent, as they always are, against quarterbacks. I would hate to recommend Fields, and he just goes out there and just absolutely poops the bed, man. But I've got him as a sleeper this week. Look, it's not like Dak's been lighting the world on fire either, you know? Despite them scoring all these points, he's outside the top 20 right now in terms of fantasy quarterbacks, dude. So it's not like he's been going absolutely crazy. Justin Fields, I've got as a sleeper, and I'll explain why, okay? So the Denver Broncos play man-to-man at an extremely high rate. And obviously, they've allowed a lot of production. I know the Miami game throws everything out of whack here, okay? But it should be noted, Denver's allowed the most touchdowns, dead last in yards per attempt allowed to quarterbacks, and they've allowed a league-worst 77.4% completion rate in regards to quarterbacks. Here, hold on. Let me look this up, though, because man-to-man coverage, I think, is very, very important in regards to a mobile quarterback like Justin Fields. And yeah, when we're talking about Denver, man to man coverage, let me look this up. They've run man to man coverage at the sixth highest rate in the NFL. They do run a lot of man coverage here, man coverage shells to start the season. Sixth highest rate in the NFL. Okay, what does that mean for a running quarterback? That means that the DBs have their backs turned as they are playing their man, not playing a zone. When you're playing zone, you're facing forward. You can kind of keep an eye into the backfield. And unless they use a quarterback spy on Justin Fields, which they might, but Fields is a good enough athlete to even get away from that. But their tendency, obviously, is to play more of a man-to-man shell. That should give up some, decent production there to Justin Fields, both as a runner and as a passer. Okay, and as a passer, because it's a little bit of a cleaner look, I think, for him. I think he gets a little bit confused when we're taking a look at when he's taking a look out there at zone coverage, trying to figure out the reads versus man. He knows, okay, guy open, throw it. Guy closed, don't throw it. You know what I mean? So I'll go Fields in that QB spot. I don't feel great about it. Hard to feel great about it. But again, Dak's outside the top 20 in terms of quarterback, so it's not like he's been lighting the world on fire. So I don't know. Joink 25 reminds me of Doink the Clown. Anyways, Joint 25, agonizing over Brock versus Dimes each week. Oh, man, throw in Brock. It's fine, dude. Don't worry about Brock. Brock's fine. Danny Dimes is really interesting, too, but go ahead and throw in Brock Purdy. I think he's got, against Arizona, bro, like, he's going to throw 2 touchdowns. Go ahead. Lock it. I don't know about the yardage. He might only need 200 yards or something, but he's throwing 2 touchdowns, okay? So go ahead. Fire him up, dude. You're good. You're good to go. Clark Schuyler, sit Mixon versus Tennessee for Swift versus Washington. Yes. Mixon's a little banged up, isn't he? I thought I saw that, right? Bengals injury report. Boom. Here we go. Mixon. Well, he's not on the injury report. Golly, I could have sworn I saw that he had some kind of deal going on with his ankle or something. Maybe that was last week. Was that last week? Am I just tripping? I guess I'm tripping. He wasn't on the injury report last week either. But golly, I could have sworn I saw that somewhere. But I guess he's not on the injury report, so forget about it. But anyways, terrible matchup against Tennessee. Obviously, I think Mixon, at this point, guys, in his career, can we just all admit that Mixon is mid? Like, he's mid. Like, he's an absolutely fine NFL average ass running back. That's all he is, man. I'm not saying he's bad, but it's really hard for me to say at this point in his career that he's good. There's so many people in both fantasy football and real life football that keep trying to force feed this narrative that Mixon is this special player. He's so good. He's so good. Look at what he did at Oklahoma. I'm like, guys, we're a million years past Oklahoma now. We're a million years past his draft capital, his scouting report. We're a million years past that. He's mid. I don't know how to tell you this, guys. Okay, like, how many seasons does this guy need to put together where he averages less than 4 yards a carry in a good offense? Like, he's a starting running back, unquestioned starting running back in a great offense, and he barely averages 4 yards a carry. Come on, dude. Like, let's get real here. He's an absolutely, like, completely average running back. Not good, not bad. He's mid. He's fine. Anyways, bad matchup against Tennessee. DeAndre Swift against Washington. Washington's got a great defensive line as well. And certainly there's some cause for concern right there. But that being said, I think obviously there's pretty good touchdown upside as against Washington there. Philadelphia. Let me just look this up. Washington has allowed they're about league average in terms of fantasy points allowed to running backs. They're 17th in that regard. Let's see, on the ground. I've got listed as a neutral matchup, so I don't have all the numbers totally right in front of me here. But about league average in terms of rush yards allowed per game and yards per carry, 4.1 yards per carry. Guess what? League average, 15th in the NFL. Tennessee, I did have this one down. Got to fade Mixon here. Heaviest pass funnel defense in the NFL. The secondary stinks. Front seven, pretty good. They've allowed the 6th fewest fantasy points to running backs thus far, after allowing the 3rd fewest to running backs in 2022. So this is continuing a trend. Okay. Those 2 touchdowns allowed to Ford were the first touchdowns allowed all year. By the way, Ford, from an efficiency standpoint, was not very good. It's just that he punched 2 in and made my call of fading Ford look like shit, but that's okay. Again, Ford averaged 1.8 yards per carry, and the Tennessee Titans have allowed 2.69 yards per carry to opposing running backs thus far through 3 games in the NFL. Obviously, that 2.69, that's the best mark in the NFL. So, yeah, I would view Joe Mixon, who is getting excellent usage, 73% snap share. We were expecting that. And I view him as a touchdown-dependent, low-end RB2. So that's what I wrote down in regards to Mixon. Let me go check on a couple things here for Philadelphia. Let me make sure that I'm not tripping here in regards to some deep-seated information that I am missing here. Nope. I think we're good. I think we're all right. So yeah, I'll go ahead and say go play DeAndre Swift. Let's do it. Bus. What's up, man? By the way, I appreciate you subscribing to the channel last week, man. Definitely appreciate that. All right. Any waiver wire wide receivers for the buys coming up? Can you guys go and check on me? If you guys are listening to me right now, can you guys go and just check to see if Kendrick Bourne is out there? My dude is averaging top 10 air yards, and he is averaging about 8.5 targets per game. 8.5 targets per game. And he's top 8 in total air yards. And just watching New England play, he's really starting to look like a little bit of like a mini alpha receiver in terms of like a little mini go-to guy in that passing attack. I really like him, man. He is, when you talk about those 8.5 targets and the top 8 air yards, we're talking now like top 20 receiver volume, right? So when we are talking about volume, right, that's what we're looking at. It's targets and air yards. And right now he's top 20 in terms of, and honestly, that's probably conservative. Honestly, top 8 in air yards and then 8.5 targets per game. That's like more like top 15-ish in terms of total volume, right, for a wide receiver. So I would just say, like, obviously he's like the wide receiver 35 or whatever it is right now, right? So there's a lot of room for growth, right? So if Kendrick Bourne is out there, man, I would go ahead and just add him. And you don't need to play him today. I'm not saying you got to play him today. I'm just saying add him and stash him. That's one player that I would certainly look at coming up. But Bus, to your point, though, you have to let me know. I don't know who's on your waiver wire, right? So if you've got some names, throw them onto the chat, man, and I'll tell you who I kind of sort of like. Gazman, you're in a bad situation. DTR, CJ Stroud. I trust CJ Stroud a little bit more. By the way, Stroud's been playing really good football, dude. Have you guys been watching the Texans? I know they were an absolute joke and embarrassment last year, but have you guys been watching the Texans? They're a fun little team now. Okay? Nico Collins has been playing pretty good football. Obviously, this little Tank Dell dude is really good. You know who Robert Woods has been a steadying hand as a third receiver option, but, man, you know who I'm worried about? Bro, Dameon Pierce. We were sold a false bill of goods. We were told Dameon Pierce was going to be this workhorse back. Not to be the case. Dameon Pierce, do you guys know that Dameon Pierce has not cracked 50% participation, 50% snap share in any game this year? Not one. Not a one. He's supposed to be a workhorse back. They lied. They lied to us, baby. Okay? Fantasy industry. I'll put myself in there. I thought Dameon Pierce was going to be a workhorse. No. Nah, they're working a third back, dude. I mean, it was Mike Boone in weeks 1 and 3. It was Dare Agumbawale in week 2, bro. Like what's why are we working in Dare Agumbawale and Mike Boone? Come on, Houston. Help us out a little bit. Help us help you. Get Damian Pierce more touches. Get him some more participation. Get him some more routes run. Okay? I'm worried. I'm worried because it's a new coaching regime. They didn't draft Damian Pierce. They don't care about no Damian. They don't care at all. Maybe he's not a good scheme fit. I don't know. I'm a little worried. But go ahead and play CJ Stroud over DTR this week, man. I really like DTR, though, bro. I do. But hard to get away from CJ Stroud, all right? So go ahead and play CJ today. I feel relatively confident about that call. All right, you've got Jamar Judy, Flowers, and Debo. Is it Cillian or Killian? It's like Killian Murphy, right? What am I? I'm tripping. Cillian. That's stupid. Cillian? What am I, an idiot? What are you talking about? It's Killian. Come on, dude. Get it together. Anyways, Jamar, Judy, Flowers, and Debo. You think Debo is likely to be limited today? Obviously, I think Debo is likely to be limited today. Obviously. Hasn't practiced all week. Is supposed to be in a real bad spot. Okay, so I would go ahead and not consider Debo. Here, I think Judy obviously has a great matchup in front of him here. Chicago's the worst defense in the NFL, okay? So I do think that he's got a great matchup. But, dude, come on, man. Like, I like Zay Flowers, too. Don't get me wrong. I like Zay Flowers a lot. Zay Flowers is in an interesting position here against Cleveland. But, I mean, come on. We're not sitting Jamar. We're not sitting Jamar. I mean, you spent the top 5 pick on Jamar, dude. We can't give up on Jamar. He just had a huge game last week too. And like I was saying before, the matchup data is really, really good for Jamar. Okay, I'll give it to you one more time here. But Tennessee has given up a ton of production to outside wide receivers. Just been getting absolutely hammered and smoked on the outside. They've got these Kirkland brand corners. Smash spot for Jamar Chase. All right. They got destroyed by Amari Cooper. They got destroyed by Rashid Shaheed. They got destroyed by Mike Williams. Okay. They're giving up a 77.5% completion rate to outside wide receivers. That's third worst in the NFL. And yeah, they've given up the second most fantasy points to outside wide receivers. So no, man, you're playing Jamar Chase, dude. Throw him in that bad boy for sure. Thoughts on Keaton Mitchell? Seems like a game breaker. He does a little bit. I know people are really, really high on Keaton right now. I think I saw that he was one of the most added players on Yahoo this week, which I found to be a little bit, interesting, right? What are my thoughts on, I don't know, clarify the question, man. What are you talking about here? Thoughts on playing him this week? We're not playing him this week, right? Thoughts as a stash and hold guy? Yeah. You stash and hold. That's a player like Keaton Mitchell for sure. It's been a minute since you've been on here, Killian. So yeah, we've been doing good, man. We've been holding firm. All right. So 15 minutes now to kick off here. James Coe knows for a Fantasy Zone like show as a host on YouTube. Too good to be at home on an NFL season, bro. I mean, what are we doing out here, guys? Come on, guys. Like, let me cook, baby. Let me cook. Michael Parlagreco. Always good to see you, man. A longtime supporter, so I do appreciate that, man. All right. 15 minutes now to kick off. If you got questions, I'm going to rip through a bunch of these, as many of these as possible. So throw them in. Okay. Elijah Moore with DTR starting at quarterback. Do I still like Elijah Moore? I still like Elijah Moore. It's a good matchup. And again, Cleveland's passing game is going to be condensed down, I think, in my personal opinion, to 2 guys. Okay. Maybe, you know what, to be honest with you, maybe David Njoku gets a little bit more work because Deshaun Watson, not really like a guy who throws it a lot to his tight ends. DTR, I think we saw a little bit more of that at UCLA. I don't know. So yeah, no, but I still like Elijah Moore. He's got a good matchup in front of him. So yeah, I'll go ahead and start or as a sleeper, still advocate Elijah Moore even with DTR in line. And by the way, dude, the guy just looked absolutely fantastic during the preseason. So I don't know, we'll see. Good player at UCLA too. Okay, J Rowe, Debo injury a concern in the flex spot, or Kendrick Bourne or Jake Ferguson? I love Jake Ferguson as a sleeper tight end, okay, but not in the flex. Okay, so go ahead and take him out. You got Debo or Kendrick Bourne. Oh man, how much are we trusting this injury? I'm not trusting it at all. You know what I'm saying? He's got multiple injuries here. That's the. What are we doing? You know, he's got ribs and a knee injury. I don't know. Seems a little ridiculous to be playing him, especially against a team in the Arizona Cardinals where they're favored by 14 freaking points. Why would you play Debo? Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense to me that you would play Debo. Why would you run him out there? You need him. You know, you need him. It should be a relatively easy matchup. I get it. They came out as 12.5-point dogs to Dallas last week, and they shocked him. They absolutely shocked him. I know it shocked me. Shocked the Dallas Cowboys. But you know what's funny? I said this on my SiriusXM show. That, or maybe it was my Reception Perception show. I'm not sure. Anyways, by the way, subscribe to Reception Perception, the podcast. Please. Do me a solid there. But I was saying this on one of those shows that loss to that loss by the Cowboys was the best thing to happen to San Francisco for multiple reasons. One, it's an NFC contender. You know, if they're picking up cheap losses, you like it. You know, blah 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 blah. But also, it's like the coaching staff can go to their guys now and be like, see, we told you. You can't take these teams lightly in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, no, I think I don't think they're going to get caught by surprise by Arizona this week. And I just don't see San Francisco. I just don't see San Francisco needing Deebo Samuel. Now, Jawan Jennings is doubtful. So, you know, maybe they're running low on receivers or something. So maybe they throw, I don't know, man, but I don't see the point. Why would you run the risk? So I'm a little bit concerned. So I don't love Kendrick Bourne in this matchup, but again, no Trayvon Diggs, you know, ups the upside a little bit. Okay. So go ahead and play Kendrick Bourne for me. All right. Make COD great again. Is COD bad now, guys? I don't know. I haven't played in years. I can't handle it's the toxic chats, bro. Like I'm freaking married, father of two with like a job and shit. Like a lot of years I've gotten multiple jobs, right? Like I don't got time to get nice on the sticks. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I know I'm not good at I tried playing Warzone. I'm like, I know I'm not good, but golly, do I need to just get blasted by 11-year-old kids on freaking the mics? It sucked. And like, if you don't get on the mics, they get even more mad at you. Right? So it's like, man, I don't know. Anyways, whatever. I don't know. COD not good? I don't know. You tell me. Richardson, Burrow, or Cousins today? Burrow's injury still concerns me a little bit. Got a great matchup, obviously, against Tennessee. I've highlighted that many, many times. I like Richardson, too, because of the rushing upside. Cousins, though. I don't know how do we get away from Cousins? Cousins is so good. Cousins has been so good, and he's got a really good matchup, too, against Carolina, right? So Carolina has allowed, they've allowed the fifth fewest. I wrote this down. It's a run funnel defense because they're so bad against the run. Kirk Cousins has been so good, though, but I guess quarterbacks really haven't needed to use their arms against Carolina. And by the way, with Bryce Young under center too, will it be as high a scoring game? As crazy as this say, Andy Dalton made that offense look functional, and Young did not. Right, Bryce Young did not. So maybe I'm talking to myself. The data is now pointing me towards Burrow here. I think the data is pointing me towards Burrow. If you're worried about the injury play, Richardson, I was going to say Cousins originally. But I think the data is walking me back from that. All right. So you've got two pretty good options there, too, with Richardson and Burrow. Maybe not worth it to risk it with Cousins in what could be a slow passing game for him if they get out there. I love Alexander Madison, by the way. I know people hate Madison, but I like him this week. All right. He's got a great matchup against Carolina. So What about rest of season? Yeah, you've got 3 guys there. Interesting that you've got 3 really good quarterbacks too. You're probably trying to move them, right? You're probably trying to move somebody. Oh, you're an 8-teamer. That's why. 2 roster spots available for him. If it's an 8-teamer, can I just be 100% honest with you? I just don't think you need to hold on to one of them. You know, like Richardson, I think will be fine and a good player. Burrow's going to be a good player. Cousins will be fine, but just make a call. In an 8-teamer, why are you guys hoarding quarterbacks? You know what I'm saying? Streaming the position is going to be pretty easy. I'm assuming when you look at your waiver wire, there's some pretty good quarterbacks out there too. If you want like the highest upside guy, it's Richardson because of the rushing ability. Honestly, just let go of either Burrow or Cousins. No one's going to make a trade in an 8-team league. No one's trading for quarterback. And you're wasting a roster spot on somebody that you could get some kind of flex player that has better upside. So, yeah, I would just say from a roster construction standpoint, just don't hold on to 3 quarterbacks. You know what I mean? In an 8-teamer, it's just not going to happen unless you're in a 2 QB league. In a 2 QB league, 8-teamer, okay, maybe that makes sense. But a single quarterback spot, man, yeah, I don't know. Roster construction right there, that's a little odd for me. Jeff Baker, Pacheco got more upside than Garrett Wilson today. Yes. KC's obviously a huge favorite. What are they at? Actually, I saw this right there. I think they're down to 8.5 against the Jets, which is just crazy to me. Maybe it's been walked up. I don't know, but it opened up at 9.5, right? Which is, by the way, I would still take KC at 9.5. And Pacheco's got a really good game script laid out in front of him. I know that the Jets. Let's take a look at the Jets matchup data here. I've got it as a slightly above average matchup. They've given up the 19th most fantasy. Excuse me. They are 19th in terms of fantasy points allowed, so that's good. Higher number, good. And in regards to, and by the way, Pacheco's been getting a lot of work. He's been running some good routes, all those kind of things. And obviously he's been running angry as he always has. The Jets have given up the 7th most rushing yards per game. Pretty efficient in that regard. 3.65 yards per carry. That's 10th best. But again, it's because of game script. That's why these running backs are doing well against the Jets. So yeah, go ahead and give me that Pacheco game script, man. Higher upside over Garrett Wilson today. If this game gets out of hand, which I think it totally can, by the way, don't you guys feel I almost feel like it's actually worse almost for Zach Wilson at home because he's going to get booed. You know what I mean? Every little bad move he's going to get booed. That's going to sink that confidence even more and more, right? So, yeah, I'm not really feeling it. You know what I'm saying? So, IP, Isaiah Pacheco gets touchdown sniped. He does. He has to be the only big back in the league that gets vultured by a smaller running back in Jerick McKinnon, right? On what other team does the bigger back get vultured at the goal line? I mean, Travis Etienne's not even small, and they're vulturing him with Tank Biggs because he's even bigger, right? What? It doesn't make sense. It's crazy. What the fuck? Get Pacheco a touchdown. As a matter of fact, you know what? I'm going to say Pacheco gets a touchdown. I'm going to because it's stupid. Now it's just getting dumb. Them subbing him out for McKinnon is now just getting stupid. Come on. He's got to score a touchdown. He's scoring a touchdown. Guys, Pacheco's scoring a touchdown. He's going to do it. I'm telling you. So yeah. And obviously we love, dude, guys, we love Garrett Wilson. We do. Oh, he's such a good player. But Zach Wilson sucks so bad. He's so bad. It's incredible. And you guys want to talk about receipts? Go find I don't even know where they are, but I'm not going to bother to look them up. Look up my receipts here on Zach Wilson. I've been saying since day one, I'm like, yo, how is this dude a first-round pick? How is he going so high? Watch him play at BYU. He's throwing up prayer balls all day long. He's just tossing them up. Little limited accuracy, even in college. All of a sudden, you're going to be a more accurate quarterback in the pros, and obviously that's played itself out. He can't throw the ball accurately. I don't get it. It's crazy, bro. Bus, you've been watching since the good old NFL Fantasy Live. Hey, yo, you're a real one. I like that. Okay, there you go. But all the way from Denmark. Yes. International. My dude, jumping in on YouTube. Love it. Thank you, dog. Okay, we got 3 minutes till kick. Let me just rip through a bunch. This is from Elijah. Start Nakua or Ayuk. Oh, Puka's got a beautiful matchup. Play Puka Nakua for sure. Puff, 10-28. You need ceiling play. Half PPR. Josh Palmer, Godwin. Ceiling play. Give me Josh Palmer. I think it's going to be a higher scoring game. Yeah, Joe Mixon is mid. I know he is. Midxon. Hard to say, but I like that. It looks good on paper. Hard to say, but looks good on paper. Steve O Hulk, it's been a minute, man. I haven't seen you in a bit in the chats, dude. Who's better for the flex? Half PPR, Jacoby Myers, Nico, or Josh Palmer? Not Jacoby. Worried about Aiden O'Connell. Josh Palmer is also kind of sort of not that great. If you're chasing upside, give me Nico Collins. Nico Collins for that upside, man. Better player, and I think he's got a better role in that Houston offense. Michael Beason, start Higbee or pick up Hunter Henry or Jake Ferguson. Ooh. Dang it. This one's a tough question here. You know what, man? Go ahead and give me golly. I kind of sort of like Hunter Henry, to be honest with you. I kind of sort of like Hunter Henry. Is that crazy? What has Dallas done? Nope, can't do it. I said I've got Hunter Henry as a fade here. Dallas has allowed the 10th fewest fantasy points to tight ends. Yeah. Wow, interesting. They limited Waller in week 1, 3 for 36. They played the Jets, obviously, there in week 2. Yeah, I've got Hunter Henry as a fade. Interesting. I didn't realize that. Okay. I go through so much data, man, that like sometimes I forget my own calls. If that's the case, give me Jake Ferguson. I'll take Jake Ferguson there, Michael Beason. All right, so there you go. 1 minute. Eric Zubert. Full PPR. Slated to win. Achan. Madison. Play Madison. Boom. Clark Schuyler, Dynasty question. Can't get to those right now. Tyler Lockett, also playing DKM, Hollywood or Debo. Lockett, Hollywood or Debo. Lockett. Yes. Play them both. You're going to play Lockett and DKM. Why not? DKM or Ayuk. Oh. It's still DKM. All right, cool. Yep, let's go with the Pacheco. All right, that's kickoff. All right, now we're at kickoff. All right, cool. Now I can get to some of these other questions. Dynasty question. You need RB help. You can get Javonte Williams for Elijah Moore. What? Oh, Elijah Moore, Jaden Reed, and a 2024 first rounder. No, you're not doing that. That's a bad trade. Don't do that. You're not giving up Elijah Moore and Jaden Reed and what? For a guy who coming off of a major ACL? Nah, dude. That's crazy, brother. Nah, don't do that. That's not a good trade for you. Dude, it's dynasty, brother. Like, nah, hell no. I mean, a first-round draft pick, you could get someone as good as Javonte Williams right now, right? No? I'm confused, right? So you need RB help, though, to win this year, and I get that. But nah, you're not moving all of those guys. I mean, honestly, Javonte for a first is reasonable. He's asking for Elijah Moore and Jaden Reed too. Nah, dude, nah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm holding on to. I'm holding on to. If you want to like counter back, I would be like Elijah Moore, Jaden Reed, and like a 2024 second. Even that's heavy. But yeah, man. Bus. All right, so let me get to this one. Do I do this trade? You receive Waller and Amari Cooper for Kittle. Yes, I do that deal. Yep, 100%. I do that deal. I think Amari for Kittle straight up is pretty fair. Now you're also getting Waller back. Yeah, you're doing that deal, man. That's it. We made it, baby. We made it. All right, cool. I hope everyone has a great week 4, man. If you guys have any other questions, obviously find me on Twitter. If you guys are still with me, that's cool. Subscribe to the channel, man. And by the way, if you guys would just share my channel with people, if you would share my tweets with people, like that would be awesome, bro. Like I know you guys like look at them and stuff, but if you would just retweet, share it with the peeps, that'd be awesome. Anyways, hey man, I'm gonna let you guys go. Good luck in week number 4 to everyone out there. Let's get it. All right, we'll see you guys. Peace.